Okay, so welcome back to my channel. So today I've got the MT25. This is gonna be the first ride out from Yamaha. So it's based on the same engine with the Yamaha R25, and also this is a naked bike, and seating position is actually the same with the MT25. The only difference is the handles are similar with the MT07. So it's gonna be a very comfortable ride if compared to the R25 for long, I mean, not to say long distance lah, but it's gonna be less strain on your waist and very comfortable upright sitting position like the MT07. The only thing different with is the foot pegs actually is still the same with the R25. So later we'll be testing out the power of this bike, the speed, and also the torque. Okay, the power seems to be very similar to the R25. Then the biggest difference with this bike is it has the ABS, front and back, you know, front and back ABS. So now I have to make my way out from this industrial area first before I can do any testing. So for the initial feeling of it, it's quite comfortable, definitely because of the upright position. But the thing I realized about this MT25 is the handles are actually quite light. So like many minute movement will result in like, yeah, minute movement as well. Okay, so the first impression on this bike, definitely the handlebar position is very high and very comfortable. So the next thing to note is the weight is actually slightly heavier than the R25, which on paper itself is already more heavier. So the next thing is the handle itself is also quite light. It's not as heavy as the R25. And also the next thing is that this bike has some torque as well. Ooh, going up to 100 kbh. No problem. I think about 6 seconds probably. Then the next thing is the LED bulbs. On the low beam it's a bit on the dimmer side, but on the high beam definitely is is considerably quite bright for my usage, and especially on roads that totally has no lights. Then also the road feedback on this bike is also quite high. The suspension is not as soft as I expected. That is also quite expected because it's an upside down fork. So it has the characteristic of the R25 on the forks. This is very obvious because it's a naked bike. So the amount of wind gushing onto you is quite significant if you compare it with the significant fairing brothers of this MT25, the R25. And the next thing is the ABS. Yeah, the ABS works quite good on this bike. Do note that the ABS is on the front and the back of the bike. So definitely it's a big plus compared to the R25, because the ABS is actually quite important, especially when you are going on like rainy days, sandy roads. So how does it fare on the rush hour? I guess not really a big problem, but the bars are a little bit on the long side. So yeah, I mean, There's no perfect bike in the world. Yeah, you can definitely get away from traffic when you want to go fast on this bike. You can. Somehow the horsepower rating on this MT25 is slightly lower, about 4 horsepower from the R25. But once you ride it, definitely it's not really, how to say, you don't really feel that much of a difference compared to the power delivery wise on the R25 versus the MT25. So the other thing that I really like about this bike is how it looks. It really does have the Predator looks on it, which I really enjoy. So for the headlights, for example, this is the low beam. It is okay, but once you turn on the high beams, you can really see a lot more with the high beams. So low beams on normal roads are sufficient, but with the high beam, it's really good. But probably they can actually use the brighter bulbs on the low beam. It may help, because it's only facing towards the floor. So here comes the corner. Let's try the corner ring. Yep, definitely this bike is quite nimble and quite fun to ride with. And let's get up to speed and see what's the high speed capabilities like. That's a GS. Fifth gear, 140. Man, I can really feel the wind hitting on me on 150 kph. Holy hell. Man, the wind is really no joke, bro. But I mean, it's quite normal on a naked bike. But if you slap on the windshield on this bike, definitely you can still go about 160 without much of an issue. Downshifting on this bike is also quite smooth. I can like downshift, rev match with it with no problem at all. So after this, we'll go for a night ride in KL town. Yep, you see, on third gear, it can really go full itself. Crazy. Well, on the MT25 is a little bit on the you know, wobbly side due to the lighter handles and stuff like that. I will say that this bike is actually quite worth it, and it's quite nice to ride in a town. So comfortable, easy to maneuver, and also it's not hard to go between cars with this car, or with this bike, I mean. So this bike is actually very nimble, agile, although the weight is not as light as the R25, but I mean, it's quite reasonable for the class. So let's talk about the brakes. The brakes are actually quite responsive for a single disc and a dual pot caliper in front, and also a single pot at the back. So yeah, it's quite sufficient for daily use actually. And also the stock exhaust note is actually quite decent, with a little bit of sound, yet pleasing to the ears. And also, if you are a beginner or just starting to get into bikes, I guess this bike will be quite a good start for you guys if you are on a tight budget and also not requiring a lot and tons of power to use on. So yeah, this is the initial impression of this MT25, the MT series Rush of Darkness. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you guys for watching the vlog. So see you guys again next time. Bye. Woo!